What a fun interview I just had with Kimberly Olson. You guys are going to so enjoy this interview, raw and real trials and tribulations of humble beginnings and even alcohol addiction to the multi-million-dollar coach that Kimberly is today. She's been on stage with Rachel Hollis and Chalene Johnson and big names, you guys. Big deal here. And I just so enjoyed her authenticity in her journey, the ups and downs in entrepreneurship, and some incredible tips and hacks on how to be seen and be effective on social media today. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Hey friend, Melissa Hinault here with the Burnout to All Out podcast. I'm a former multiple six-figure executive corporate burnout, feeling stuck in the life I built for myself. But using my corporate skills, I took to the internet and have built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses, showing others how they can build a life they love. Now, on this podcast, I share stories of being an entrepreneur, a mom to my 3 amazing kids, and wife to my wonderful and supportive husband who supports all my wild and crazy dreams. My journey is taking grit and persistence and belief. And believe me, I'm still a work in progress that you may witness in real time, whether it's in our free Burnout to All Out Facebook community, or inside my mastermind, or even in my coaching programs, or maybe just right here on the podcast. I'm laughing and I'm crying with you. I've become a serial entrepreneur with a passion to inspire more burnouts to take the leap of faith and go all out and live out their dreams. Consider me your mentor in your head and on the go. So let's get started. All right, we are live, guys. So excited to have Kimberly Olson here today on the Burnout to All Out podcast. Kimberly, welcome to the Burnout to All Out podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we were just discussing in the back room, if you will, some similarities that we have. So I'm really excited to really feature you today and really showcase your zone of genius, but inspire maybe some more 9-to-5ers over there watching us on LinkedIn that they can do this too, right?
Yeah.
So excited to have you here today. Really quickly, just so you guys know who we are interviewing today, Kimberly is an internationally renowned social media expert and a CEO of a multi-million-dollar coaching business. So you want to hear from this woman. Her coaching business is called The Goal Digger. Not to mention, she has been named the number 2 recruiter globally in her network marketing company. And she's the author of 3 Amazon bestsellers. So we'll have to hear about those at some point today. And recently was listed as a top 25 podcast host in the marketing category with her podcast, The Goal Digger. So you guys have to go follow her there. What I love that I saw here is that in her most recent speaking events, she was honored to share the stage with other folks like Rachel Hollis, Chalene Johnson, and Marina Simone, and a couple of other names. But her presence, her knowledge, her expertise is highly valued, obviously. So we're excited to have you here today. I know your focus is really female entrepreneurs, and I can't wait to tap into your zone of genius. But before we get into your social media expertise, this is the Burnout to All Out podcast. So there's always a backstory to the entrepreneur.
Always.
Right? So take me back, Kimberly, to the days before you were the multi-million-dollar entrepreneur working for yourself. Was there a day in the life where you worked for someone else before you worked for yourself?
Yeah, I would definitely say I was a serial trying to be entrepreneur that kept going back to corporate. I think there was 3 times in a row where I printed the resume off. You get the nice paper, and I was like, this is the last time, girl. And then it will not be the last time. I was trying so hard. I mean, I think I just never did well with authority. I would be very successful, but then the boss didn't like how, I don't know what it was, but it just always was not where I was supposed to be, right? I'm supposed to lead others in my own space. And yeah, I had so much conflict around it. So in 2011, I actually got online. I had I still have a very successful YouTube channel and a blog. And it was called Fit Kim. That was my first brand. And because I had lost 40 pounds, I got PhDs in natural health and holistic nutrition. Like I was just on fire around that in that industry. It's a very, very saturated market. So unless you know what the heck you're doing, just my aunt would buy my products that I released. So I just kept going back to corporate. And in 2017, I had my second baby, and I had just come off of, a really long time of depression. I had postpartum with both of them. Alcohol has always been an issue in my family, and I struggled with for over a decade. But it got to a point where I was like, okay, I hate my job. There was a bully there. I wasn't present for my children at all. Like all I could think about was like opening the bottle of wine to take the edge off, and people joke around about it, but like I needed it, right? It wasn't wanting to have a glass of wine. I was functioning that way. And
it was your coping mechanism. It sounds like.
It was my coping mechanism. Yeah. I mean, everybody has different things. That was definitely it. And we racked up almost 6 figures of debt. Like we bought the dream home because I was making a lot of money in my corporate job. I mean, I was making 6 figures. Like I was doing well financially. My husband had a great job, bought 2 new vehicles, had 2 babies in daycare. And then right before I had my second, I was let go from that fancy job without notice. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I'm having a baby. Like you can't go interview when you're 9 months pregnant. So I was hustling, I was doing boot camps in my backyard and writing, code for websites, just anything I could do. So I went back to corporate again. And in that last year, a friend kept reaching out to me about her network marketing company. And I was just like, no, like I finally texted her. I'm like, stop asking me about this. Like, but she was so smart. She would be like, I just earned a car. You want to come to our party? And I was like, no, like I just hated my life, Right. And then I saw her at like a girls' night and she was like, it's helping the children. And I was like, helping the children? Like, that's like my heart, And I was like, I want to help the children. She's like, well, here, try the stuff. Tried it. And I was like, this stuff is amazing. I could sell this. I sold Cutco knives in college. I got this.
Right.
So, and that was in the spring of 2017. And I had initial success. I had a comma check, and a couple months in, I had $200 check. And I was like, here I go again. I'm freaking self-sabotaging. You can't crush it if you've got these huge obstacles of self-destruction in your life. You just can't. And I was like, this is it. I got to get some professional help here. This is an opportunity to change my family tree. Like I grew up in poverty. I don't want that for my daughters. Mm-hmm. So I did get the support I needed, the help, and did really, really extensive therapy. And I was able to not only break the addiction, I am celebrating, 4.5 years of sobriety.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you. I was able to reprogram my subconscious mind. And I think that's what misses with AA, different things out there. You actually need to change how you see yourself. Mm-hmm. You need to change it all the way down to the core. And by the time I had done that work, I was like, I got this, I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but this network marketing, I'm going to do it on social media, by the way. Like I just was like all in. Yeah. And so I ventured out to do that. And that's actually why I'm so passionate about this, is because I did figure it out. I did quit my job. I did get the money. My girls don't even know what poverty is, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to teach others that they can do it once they get out of their own way, which is what, your podcast is all about. They can have anything that they want.
Oh my gosh. So many good nuggets there. So many good nuggets. And first of all, just congratulations. That is just huge what you've overcome. And I agree. I think as a business coach, I see where a lot of my clients, where what's holding them back is actually what's between their ears, right? It's that self-work to get them there. I can have the best LinkedIn strategy and tell you exactly how to get there. And the difference between the clients that succeed and the ones that don't has everything to do with what's going on between their ears.
Yeah,
right? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. So good. Okay. So I was going to ask you, and I don't know if the wall kicking moment was maybe when you got that check that was the $200 check after you got going, but are there any other, obviously there's been lots of turns and twists. You really grew this network marketing business, became wildly successful at that. But now you have a multi-million-dollar coaching business, right? So I like to say that some of the best network marketers are just experts at leadership and influence online. And they realize that they can build a personal brand and teach other people how to do it as well, right? And it sounds like you've done just that. And I guess my question for you is in the twists and turns and from where you were to where you are today, if you're open to sharing, because I want to hear kind of a wall kicking moment that ended up being an absolute blessing in hindsight. Maybe as you were going through it, you were just like, why me? right? I feel like as entrepreneurs, we run into these every year, right?
Look out.
But just for the entrepreneur who's maybe going through a hard time right now and thinks it's just them, right? Can you maybe just speak to one scenario that was just an absolute wall-kicking moment at the time, but in hindsight, it was an absolute lesson that helped you grow as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think one of the hardest points was I decided to move companies. And, this is why I have a nonprofit we started called Elephant Sisters. And it's all about, we lift each other up. We shine the light on each other. We celebrate when we're going through hard times, we're there for each other. And that's not in our industry right now as a whole. And I went through that. And, when you have people who you literally would like give them the shirt off your back and you make that decision and do it the right way, by the way, in integrity. Mm-hmm. When I did that, it was okay at first, but then you know how that goes.
Yes.
And there was some women that were actively going after me, going live, talking about how horrible I was. It was just awful. And when that happens, you do you say, is it me? Did I do something wrong? And so I was able to say, no, you didn't. There's nothing you did wrong the way you handled it. You were very transparent. You didn't recruit anyone and bring them with you.
Right.
And I realized there are going to be people that don't like what I do either way. Right. So why not just be myself? So I was like, you know what? Forget you. If this is how you're going to show up, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn around and go motivate people.
Yes.
I'm going to inspire people. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to get bolder, and I'm going to shine my light so bright no one can even see you. Nobody cares about you. And I truly believe if you literally just own who you are and show up, you know what happened? My social media blew up. My income 5x'd in 1 year. And I became so confident that I was like, bring it. I don't care if something happens tomorrow. Remember when Facebook and Instagram went down that one day?
Yes.
I was like, you know what? Click a button. I'm over on YouTube today. And I got everyone to come over. Where does that confidence come from?
Yeah.
It comes from being able to claim what you want. And, if it's the conversation with your husband or getting the exit plan from your job in place, right? Mm-hmm. That is going to stem from you knowing who you are to the core and protecting your dreams and your goals and running after those unapologetically. So that was a very difficult moment, but man, it has shaped the last couple of years since then.
I love that. So many lessons in that. And it's so true, right? I love that. Number one, that you've learned that I have built multiple businesses now. You could take everything away from me today and I could start another one, right? I love that. Number two, what I love, and my community has heard me say this many times, is we can't solely depend on any social media channel as our ultimate platform for success. And I love that you have the confidence to just pivot, and you have an established brand on YouTube, but also just an established brand that people are going to find you regardless of if LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram come down. You have an avenue to stay connected. I'm always talking about email lists, right?
Oh, girl.
Right?
You had me at email list.
Yeah. So that's, we're constantly talking about that because on any given day, those accounts could be pulled too. I was hacked 2 years ago, completely lost my Facebook account.
Goodness.
Yeah. Never got it back. So you had to build it back from scratch. So kind of like you, I realized in that moment though, that I could do anything. If I could lose my Facebook account and build my business back and build my network back, I could do anything. And I learned moving forward that the email list was critical, right? And talking about blessings, on the back end, my feed in Facebook, building a new Facebook account it transformed tremendously because I had grown up through network marketing as well. And my feed was full of a lot of people I was in business with.
Yeah.
And so when I lost my account and then had to establish a new one, it was like a whole new world in my feed.
Yeah.
The algorithms changed everything. So it was a blessing. Okay. So let's get into, on the back half of this interview, I would love to talk about, as the social media expert that you are, let's talk about two things. What people are doing wrong, maybe, and then also what's the latest trend that we need to be jumping on if we're not doing it today. Are you looking for 360-degree support in launching your online business? It is a confusing space if you're new to the industry, or even if you've been around for a while. Maybe you're looking to elevate your inner circle, in the process, elevating your income. You just might be the perfect candidate for our Burnout to All Out Mastermind. Take a listen to some of our clients who are in the program now. And if it piques your curiosity, head over to our burnouttoallout.co website and register for our masterclass today. We'll be spending 3 days unpacking the most important aspects of online business, from the front end on sales and marketing and your personal brand to the back end of operations and technology to be seen and heard online, all the way to the financial aspects of what it takes to get started and delegate in this industry. You do not want to miss this upcoming masterclass. I'm giving all the goods for free. Join us today.
Hi, my name is Jody Barber, and I have had the incredible privilege to be part of the Burnout to All Out Mastermind for the past several months. I did not know what I was getting into fully when I said yes to this, and I cannot even tell you how many times I have said to my husband, said to friends in my life, I am so glad that I said yes to this opportunity. I work with a company that just launched into social selling. It is called MIG Living. And although the timing has been really exciting, the support that I didn't even realize I needed was in knowing how to put systems in place so that when we do hit the momentum phase as a company, I'm not frantically flying by the seat of my pants. And I would say that has been one of the biggest benefits of this mastermind, has been the incredible knowledge, the incredible experience, the hands-on help in building systems so that you can thrive as a business owner. Many of the things that I've been taught and introduced to in this mastermind, I didn't even know were out there. And I'm so thankful that I said yes to this and that I made the investment.
So what maybe are people doing wrong that's out there that you've identified that people could be doing differently to be more seen and connected with their ideal client or business partner?
Yeah, well, two things come to mind. The easy one is obviously you have to do an audit, do a self-audit, and just be like, hey, if Kimberly came and audited my account today, what would she say? Is it set up to attract who you want to work with? So for example, Melissa, she's a business coach. We're colleagues to each other, but I want to attract people like Melissa into my world. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to make sure my profile is set up where Melissa comes and she's like, this girl's a boss. Like, I want to get to know her, even if it's just my, I call it the I am statement, but who I am, who I serve, or maybe a call to action to enroll, get a freebie or join my community of boss babes. I want Melissa to come and be like, whoa, okay. Like when you were cleaning up your feed or restarting your Facebook, there was people you were reaching out to. I want to be that person. A lot of times network marketers, direct sellers hide behind their products and they're not recruiting. And they're like, I don't know why I'm not recruiting. I'm like, no one can tell you have a business. That would be the first one. The second one is I call it #blessed. And you see this on LinkedIn too. I'm primarily on Facebook and Instagram, but we do have a good sized LinkedIn presence, and I train on LinkedIn too. So I totally love it. #blessed this is why no one's seeing your stuff. Is hashtag blessed is like great weekend with the hubs, or kids school thing. Like you just say it like, right. So and that's awesome. That's great. I'm glad you're sharing your life, but how are people supposed to engage with that post? Right. It's nothing to do with them. It's about you. So instead share that thing, but how can you invite them into the conversation? Every single post should have a question, and that will get you on the right path. Right. Yes. So what happens is even you just start getting a couple comments, it tells that platform, oh, people are engaging, and it pushes you up into the newsfeed. For sure. Absolutely. I love that you're pointing this out. In our small group coaching sessions yesterday, we were talking about this specifically on LinkedIn, the call to action. And some of our newest clients think of call to action as like, message me here, go to my website there. And, I'm constantly saying that is not the call to action that we're talking about, right? The call to action is engagement. It's that thought-provoking question that gets people sharing their insights and interacting in the feed, right? So I love that you brought that up. I'm going to ask you this, and then we'll get into the latest trends, because you hear contradictory advice on this. I love Gary Vaynerchuk. I love following him, and he's definitely. What's that? He's a who. He's one who does not care what other people think. Right. Right. But the thing that he really speaks to is it's your personal brand, like being your authentic self in a way that you're not one dimensional, that, I use the term the snowflake, right? Like we're all unique.
And we really speak to sharing multifacets of you on media, not just being this like single mission, single-sided promoting or even authority building in this one swim lane, right? And so I really coach to that over on LinkedIn. It's creating connection and dimension and kind of trustworthiness with people and having common ground beyond just what your expertise is, right? Now, having said that, what I find interesting is recently Chalene Johnson's son, Brock, was at a mastermind event that I was at a couple weeks ago, and he was coaching on Instagram. And his comment was that you need a niche down. And this is a different platform, obviously, but he said on Instagram, unless you're like a mega influencer, you really, really need a niche down to one specific topic in business on your Instagram page and really stick to that so that people can find you and follow you for that specific piece. So I'm curious because obviously I've just talked out of both sides of my mouth and they're different platforms.
Right.
But I'm curious your thought process around that and where you've seen the most success.
That's such a good question. And, when you guys hear different things out there, one, if you're coaching with Melissa, stay with Melissa. Just be all in, all committed, be coachable. When she's doing the group coaching, go implement what she teaches. That's why I had such great success, is because I was doing that. I would watch the training and I would implement right away. Like I didn't even know what the heck I was doing. And because if you are working with Melissa and then you take Brock's course and then you're watching me and following me, you're like, oh, I'm going to follow her. Like, yeah, you can have a couple of people. But if you start doing what I'm doing and then you were supposed to be doing something, Melissa, you never get anything done. So It's kind of like, when people told me, oh, the blood type diet, it's working for me. And I'm like, because you're following something.
Right.
Good job. So for us, as long as we follow something, we're going to get traction. So you might say, all right, I'm going to hashtag it out. I'm going to get my list of 10 hashtags and all my reels are going to be around that. You're going to have success because you're focused on hashtags. You're focused on figuring out. And guess what? You're doing the reels. Or you might say, well, I'm going to do 7 different themes. Every day is a different theme, but you kept going with it. It's going to grow.
Right.
Whatever you focus on grows. Give it attention. It's going to grow. This is what I think. Do what feels good to you. Get in alignment. Everyone's like, what's your business plan? You're going to get to 5 million this year. How are you going to do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to follow my intuition. So that's obviously hard to duplicate. But what I would encourage you is when you hear coaching, don't get in your head. Don't get stuck in paralysis analysis. I know some of you just heard her propose that and you're making lists right now. Okay. Like pros and cons.
Right.
Just go with what feels right to you. Pick one avenue and just pursue it. But me personally, I teach people to have five buckets of content, I call it.
Right.
So we do personal. Yeah, I figured. I was like, we are totally like twins, but personal, inspirational, make sure you're doing stuff around business so people see you're an entrepreneur. What's your product or what do you sell? And then maybe a hobby or a secondary, niche or focus. What's nice about that, there's enough variety, because I don't know about you, Melissa, but like I'm lucky. I don't really get burned out creating content, but there are times when I'm like getting ready to record a podcast, a solo or YouTube, and I'm like, I really can't talk about this anymore.
Right.
I've talked about it for 4 years.
Right.
So if it's fresh enough, you're going to keep going with it. So I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Totally. So you and I are in total alignment. On LinkedIn, I really coach to at least once a week. You need to be bringing value and authority in your space that you're building authority in, right? Like if you want to come across as the expert, give relentless value each week and be known for that. But I also think that a lot of deals are made on LinkedIn because of a common ground and connection. Like one of our clients who's in real estate landed a big client off of LinkedIn, not because, well, yes, the backgrounder is he's a real estate agent, but it was because they had the same alma mater and he had made some post around that, right? And so when he's like sifting out and sorting between agents, he finds this like another thing that he can like find a common connection with for like credibility and trustworthiness and just relatedness.
Yep.
And so when I coach over on LinkedIn, I'm definitely in our content pillars. We talk about obviously show up with authority, but then also how can you provide value in the feed that showcases your snowflake, right? Like the different pieces of you.
I love that. It's so beautiful. It's artistic.
Yeah. But I just thought it was interesting because I will say over on Instagram, I have actually drilled down 100% to being a LinkedIn expert, but it's also because I'm using Instagram for a completely different reason. Like on Instagram, I am 100% attracting clients who aren't on LinkedIn
Yes.
and need to be over there or could be over there doubling, tripling, quadrupling their income because of the untapped potential over there.
Yeah.
So I've just kind of niched down on this one like LinkedIn thing, but I'm wondering if I should be peppering it in with the stuff I coach over on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. I mean, periodically for sure. And then see how it does too. If it's well received, are you getting some great comments on it or people reaching out about it? Yeah, I would have a little fun with it. What's nice about that too is I would say about 20% of our revenue comes from Instagram. Most of it's Facebook and a little bit for the other platforms. But I use Instagram to bring people over to Facebook, like you said. But I get straight up like paid in fulls for our highest coaching program from Instagram. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's brilliant to like pepper it in so they can kind of see that, because you'd be surprised. There are definitely people that are prime candidates to become clients on Instagram.
Absolutely. Well, and I also think it's probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's being cognizant, obviously, with what you're putting out there, because the point Brock made was that when he was in high school, he did this really crazy TikTok that was a crazy dance that went viral, and he gained a bazillion followers that ultimately were not. They were following him for the wrong reason.
Right.
Messed with his algorithms. And like, he had the wrong audience following him because of this dumb dance versus what he wanted to be known for. So it's like his caution was, be careful what you put out just to go viral, because you can generate a massive audience that messes with your algorithms. That's like not what you're trying to attract.
And then do you know how much time it takes when a video goes viral to sift and sort through comments? It's a whole undertaking. So do you really want to do that? Wouldn't it be better just to have something really focused? That's probably what he was getting at, right? Is being focused so that way the people who are engaging are your ideal avatar.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So last question, before we get in, I definitely want to leave a couple minutes to talk about what you have going on and where people can find you. But what would you say is like the latest trend that's going on right now that everyone should be a part of? Like, as far as social media goes, where are you finding the most traction right now? Engagement, lead generation for your business?
Yeah. So for me, our biggest reach that we've gotten is, unless it's paid, obviously paid advertising, is through micro content. So the reels. So what I do is I record on Instagram, and I found a way to like make it so my VAs can go in and do their magic and make it look pretty. So if you go to my Instagram, you'll see what I'm talking about, because I do believe this is important. So put a cover on all of your reels. Okay. It will look so much better in the newsfeed if you want it to be in your newsfeed. I'll give you guys a little hack too. If you're not having traction on Instagram yet, you don't want your reel to go in your feed right now. Okay. So I'll give you that hack in a second. But you can actually put a cover on your reels. So the Gold Digger Girl, it's GOAL, but the Gold Digger Girl, go to my Instagram and see what I'm talking about. But what I do is I record on Instagram because I like the feature. So figure out which platform you like the best. And then we repurpose on TikTok and Facebook Reels. And I thought, I don't know if that's going to work with Facebook. And they just asked me to be a paid creator. So it does work. Yeah, they don't care. I've had the TikTok logos on them. Like, they don't care. So the cool thing is I'm able to reach over 100,000 people every month for 10 seconds, 6 seconds. I mean, I just recorded 3 last night in like 5 minutes. I was like, oh. And you know what I've also noticed has been a trend? Oh, this is definitely a trend you guys should do. The dancing and all of that. I love it. Like, I'll just, kind of shimmy. I'm not like a break dancer, right? Let's be serious. But the voiceovers and all the funny stuff, that's great. Great to get started. But what's actually trending right now is you talking and giving tips.
Yes.
So for you, for LinkedIn, it's like, hey, here's 3 tips to stand out on LinkedIn in the newsfeed. So what happens is you're going to stand out in a sea of many who are doing all the funny things, because, TikTok's been around for a couple of years now, right? Like, it's not brand new anymore. Right. And then I'll just add some like instrumental soft music. You have to adjust the audio in the background. That's really helpful. And then the other thing is, if you don't have like a natural following yet on Instagram, when you post your reel, it'll say share to newsfeed, say no. And what happens is because you aren't letting it be in your newsfeed, it's going to put it out into the main feed, and you're way more likely to get viral views on it and new people seeing you. That's the whole point. It's like free advertising.
Oh, wow. Right? Okay. Yeah. So you're saying if you don't share it in your own feed, it just goes out to like
main feed. Like, yeah. And that's what they want. It's, if you look at like my TikTok percentages, like 75% of the views are organic. Almost everyone seeing my TikToks are not people who are following me on TikTok, which is so weird, but it's awesome because it's not always going to be like that, right? It's going to be so saturated but right now, take advantage of that.
That is amazing. And what I love that you pointed out here is because a large majority of my audience is repelled by growing their business on Facebook and Instagram. They've all come to me to do something that feels a little bit more professional.
Yeah, it's really
and we actually, in our mastermind next month, have a Reels expert coming in to speak, because what I want to showcase to our group is that you can be professional and use Reels, right? You don't have to dance on your head or, do the TikTok dance, right? It's a matter of you still bringing value, just like we do over on LinkedIn. And actually, TikTok videos are doing really well on LinkedIn, right? Like you can repurpose and put your videos over there because only 4% of users of LinkedIn even produce content. So if you're producing video,
only 4%?
Yes, only 4% of users post content. So you are seen if you're creating content. And if you make it a video, you are even doubly, triply, quadruply seen, especially if it's a TikTok or a reel like video, because that's what's trending across the world right now that people want to see. Now throw it into a feed where only 4% of people are posting content, right? I love all of this. Okay. Where can folks come find you, Kimberly? And what do you have going on right now?
I would love that. Yeah, come find me. Take a screenshot of you listening to this podcast or watching it as we're streaming live, and make sure you tag me and I'll give you a shout out. Just say, love this conversation with Melissa and Kimberly today. You can tag me at the Gold Digger Girl on Instagram or wherever you're at. So if you go to Instagram and you click the link in my bio, I have a 28-day Reels challenge in there. I have 28-day Reels done for you. Yeah. Because everyone kept saying, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I'll just hand it to you on a silver platter. So I have the songs, I have the scripts. It's definitely targeted for network marketers, direct sellers, beginning coaches, those that are starting to build their personal brand through coaching and course creation. So kind of those beginners, that's done for you. And I go live every Monday at 1:00 Central on my business page, The Gold Digger Girl, which is on Facebook. So depending on where you're hanging out, come say hi, shoot me a DM, and we can be friends.
Oh, that is so awesome. You guys definitely go check her out if you're trying to up your Reels game.
Yes.
And learn more about how to be seen over there. So good. Okay, final question, and then we can wrap up. What are you reading right now?
I'm actually reading many books. I'm reading Scaling Up, which is scaling your business, because we're, getting to 5 million per year and then 8 figures. So Scaling Up business book. And I have 15 full-time staff members now. So I'm, at that CEO role now alongside the network marketing business. And then I'm also listening to Kick ASS, because if there's any kiddos listening, by Mel Robbins. It is killer. It's so good. She's live coaching. Yeah, she's live coaching breakthrough after breakthrough. I mean, I'm in love with it. It's so good. The Audible version, you can
audiobook. Okay.
Yeah. I would recommend the Audible because it's actually her, which I really like her.
Well, I love that. Okay, we'll include this all in the show notes.
Okay, cool. That's fun.
Awesome, Kimberly. This has been so fun. Thank you so much for showing up today and serving our community. You guys definitely go check her out.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to the Burnout to All Out podcast. For free resources, materials, or information on my coaching services, go ahead over to livethefreelife.co. That's livethefreelife.co. Or check out our Facebook community at Burnout to All Out, and make sure you follow Burnout to All Out on Spotify and subscribe to iTunes. And it would truly mean the world to me if you paused for just a second, gave me that 5-star review of the show, and be sure to share this episode with any burnouts you think would be inspired to go all out after hearing this episode.